Hey, what's up, guys? It's Russo, and I'm really excited to get into some college basketball today. We have a massive, if I counted correctly, 132 game slate. It's a special type of Saturday. Tons of teams playing today, and we have an awesome primetime matchup with Duke and Illinois. Playing at Madison Square Garden, neutral game site, should be a blast. They have a lot of history with really popping off when they play these games in Madison Square Garden. So really excited for this. Got four players for you for today. And I was going to try to get this out last night, ran into some issues, but actually when I got on this morning and was looking at the plays, I was happy that I waited because one of the plays that I'm taking today was not available even when I first started doing my research. And then I kind of honestly just waited around for it because I wanted this play so bad. So let's talk about last time we covered college ball. We're still trying to get a sweep here with college ball. You guys know, if you're familiar with the channel, that I'm just getting into college ball. We've had some really close calls and still learning the system here, but excited to keep growing with each slate and keep learning how to implement what we do with NBA over with college ball. So we went 2-2. Austin Rapp didn't get it done. Very close, 15.5 points, rebounds. He went for 13. And then Javon Small just didn't end up popping off the way I expected him to. Just went for 22.6 fantasy score. Took him over 31.5. Felt really good about that play. Just didn't pan out. And then Luwan Watts took him over 17 points, assists. He killed it for us. Went for 24. And then Donovan Dent felt great about this play. I was really hyping this one up. I'm glad that he came through. Took him over 34.5 fantasy score. He went for 39.1. But today I've got four plays. And I do feel really good about these. So I told you guys I was going back to just flexing for now until we get in rhythm here. But I went ahead and did one flex, one power for this slip. So let's talk about what we're getting into. VJ Edgecombe, guard for Baylor, taking him over 22.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Zakai Zeigler for Tennessee, guard, 23.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Isaac McKneely, guard for University of Virginia, taking him for over 18.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And then my favorite play, Cooper Flagg, shout out to my father-in-law. He's a big Duke fan. We're going with his fantasy score, and we're going to have a blast watching this game tonight. So 38.5 fantasy score. We're taking this for more. And we absolutely wanted the fantasy score. That's the play that I waited around for today because you want that defensive upside when you're talking about Cooper Flagg. Now we've got him in a primetime matchup out at Madison Square Garden. So it's going to be a lot of fun locking this one in and watching him get to work tonight. So if you guys don't mind, do me a favor, like the video, drop me a comment. Thank you so much. You guys have not only been supporting my channel, which I really appreciate, but a lot of you new subscribers have been just posting really kind things, and I really appreciate it. Talking about how you like my approach to how I break things down, and I appreciate that. I'm working on it. I'm going to try to keep getting better at it as I go, especially with college ball. A lot more to learn here since I'm just getting into it. But let's get into these plays. So VJ Edgecombe, this points, rebounds, and assists. I don't know if you guys have watched this guy, but I cannot wait for him to get to the NBA. And I hope somehow my sons can get him because this dude is physical. He is like, he's awesome to watch. Very explosive. I don't know who to compare him to. He's got like a little bit of, he looks more athletic, but has a little bit of a Zion Williamson energy as far as just these massive like lobs that he'll do pretty regularly. Just, fast, athletic, better shape, but kind of reminds me of the explosiveness of like a young Zion. So this is a great note to get us started from Outlier. He's exceeded 22.5 points, rebounds, and assists in 10 of his last 12 games. So over this 12-game stretch, he's averaging 26.2 points, rebounds, and assists. We're getting that 22.5. Not a huge value as far as the line we're getting versus what he's been averaging, but I will take this consistency because both of these games that he didn't hit, one more bucket, actually this one here, on February 1st would have taken a little bit more. He went for 20. So a 3-pointer would have cashed it, a rebound and a bucket would have cashed it. And then this game here on the 15th, one more bucket would have cashed it for us. Other than that, this could easily be 12 of 12 right now. During this stretch, he's been playing 35 minutes, 12.7 attempts. So I'd like to see that go up a little bit, but I'll still take it, especially because as of late, his percentage, he hasn't been shooting as good. He's had a couple games here and there where it's just kind of went down a little bit, but he's still averaging 49% from the field, 6.2 made buckets a game, 42% from beyond the arc. Now think about this. This is 14, did we say 14 games? 12 games. So this is 12 straight games where he's averaging 2 made threes a game, 42%, 4.8 attempts. So that's pretty impressive. That's even with these, he has a game here on the 10th where he went for 0, no attempts or anything. Then he went 0 of 5 the following game. Then he went 1 of 6 recently. So he's working his way back into rhythm. Even with that, he's still averaging 2 made a game over the last 12 games. So loving this. The matchup kind of middle of the road when it comes to points, 185th in points allowed, 85th in rebounds allowed, 165th in assists allowed. So middle of the road, a little bit above average for points and assists, and then just even further above average for rebounds. But I like him to be able to get this done. If we look at the last 5 games, it's just like we were just talking about. We've got these 2 games here where he was really close to hitting it. So 4 out of his last 5, 10 out of his last 12. I'm feeling good about it. And even as of late, like the minutes have been down just a little bit. But we have a couple games here that really brought the average down, 24 and 26. Let's see how those games panned out. So Baylor won that game against Kentucky. And then this was not quite a blowout, but somewhat of a blowout. But one thing I like about this is the consistency here. It doesn't, I don't want to say he's totally matchup proof, but I mean, it doesn't seem to have any rhyme or reason when he's not hitting. So like, if you look at so tough matchup, middle of the road, tough, tough matchup, like soft matchup. It's just like, it's kind of like, even when in these tough matchups, like his most recent matchup was against Arizona again, and 79th overall opponent rank, and he both times he played them, he was able to get this done. So I feel like this tonight with this is a 4 p.m. so this afternoon game, but this massive slate, I feel good about him being able to get this done, especially when he's averaging 35 minutes over the last 12, even though again the last 5 it's a little bit lower because of these 2 games here, but 32.6 minutes a game still shooting 49%, 10.2 attempts. So the attempts have gone down just slightly over the last 5 games. And he hasn't been shooting as good from beyond the arc. We talked about, and this is obviously going to bring this percentage down dramatically, but he has this game here where he took no attempts against Houston, who number 1 defense in the NCAA at the moment, if I've got that correctly. And then 0 of 5 and then 1 of 6. So that really brought this down. So only shooting 18%, but we know that he was like up knocking on the door of 50% when you zoom out to the last 12. I told you he's a physical player, so 5.4 attempts. Not bad. I'd like to see him have more games like this most recent game. 14 attempts, 11 made free throws. But yeah, he is that dude. So I look forward to continuing to watch this dude grow, and I feel good about him in this matchup tonight. Let's take a look at Daily Grind and see what they think. One thing I like about all 4 of the plays today is these are guys that are kind of pivotal pieces for their teams. So minutes shouldn't be a thing. They need these guys to produce, all 4 of them that I took today, if they want success today. So they don't like the PRA because it's they're just not liking the value there. You can see they like his assists over, they like his points assists over. They don't like his points alone at 15. But these are all just slightly favored to the under. 51%, 50.95% for the points, rebounds and assists. They've got basically a 50-50 shots, 50.16. I'm comfortable taking all of it because I think any day now, he could start cleaning up the 3-point shooting and taking a decent amount of attempts, 5 or 6, not too bad. But this guy gets his work done in the paint. He's also physical enough to grab a decent amount of boards, and then he can assist the ball more than you would expect for a guy his size. You can see we had 2 assists in this last game, 4 rebounds, and then he went for 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. And then, so it's like, yeah, I like having these rebounds and assists attached to the points, and I feel good about the points line that we're getting with all of this together. So, but yeah, full transparency, Daily Grind doesn't like it all together, probably because if you add all these up, the points, the rebounds, and assists individually, it probably comes out to like 22. And so if you take it all together, Prizepicks is penalizing you 0.5 because they know that your odds are a little bit better if you're spreading out your options here. So I'm going to be taking it for more, but you guys go with your gut. Let's keep it rolling. Zakai Zeigler. This guard for Tennessee, he's not like the biggest dude, but I think he plays great. And I say that, but a lot of times these basketball players, they don't look as big on the floor because they're playing with a lot of giants out there. But this dude is fast. He's a good facilitator. He can get it done from beyond the arc. He's actually a great facilitator. Another dude I'd be excited to see where he ends up landing in the NBA, but you can see he's done this 4 out of his last 5 games. And then this game where he missed 1 more of anything, an assist, a rebound, a bucket would have gotten it done. And these assists game is no joke. Like his 2 lowest games were both 6 assists. Other than that, 8 assists, 9 assists, 8 assists. Now he's got this matchup where it's kind of tough on points and rebounds. Pretty good, pretty solid defense here. 30th in points allowed, 23rd in rebounds allowed. Absolutely soft on assists, and this is not the facilitator you want to have, coming into a game against you when you're this bad with assists. 268th. If we let's see, do we have a note from Outlier? So he's exceeded 23.5 points, rebounds, and assists in 5 straight games on the road. So on top of like almost being 5 of 5 just in general, 1 more bucket or anything would have gotten us at a 5 of 5 just last 5 games. So also last 5 on the road, he's gotten this done too. Let's see, over his last 5 road games, getting plenty of minutes, 35.4 minutes, just 1.8 fouls, not getting in foul trouble really. Just this one game here on the 18th, he had 4. So, I mean, that's not normal for him though. 11.2 attempts, shooting 45% from the field. Doesn't shoot threes that often, but very capable. You can see he's got this game here where we went 0 for 6, and then he goes following game and goes 3 of 4, shooting 75%. Little volatile, but it's a part of his bag. Just 30% from beyond the arc right now. Still averaging 1.4 made threes over this 5-game stretch on the road. 85% from the free throw line, 5.4 attempts. He attacks the paint. He dishes it out. He draws fouls. I think that this could be a decent part of us getting to this line with a few free throw attempts here. And then let's zoom out a little bit. Let's look at the 2024 season. The 2024 season alone, 64% hit rate, 16 out of 25 games. Let's take a look and see how he's been on the road. The road's been better for him. Like we said, 5 straight games. He's also 6 out of his last 8. He just has these 2 games here. Let's see if there's something we can look at. So one of those games, he only had 5 attempts. He went 1 of 5 from the field. The other one, he shot 33%. On 12 attempts, 4 made buckets. So, not a lot of assisting, not a whole lot going on from in these 2 games, but he clearly got into rhythm and has just been killing it on the road. So I feel good about this. It looks good on the last 5. It looks good on the, on the road. Let's look at the last 10 just overall. Yeah, look at this. I mean, 8 out of his last 10. So 4 out of his last 5 and 8 out of his last 10. So I think this is going to be a good outing for him. Let's take a look at the head-to-head. I told you guys this soft matchup for assists. This is not the dude. Last time he played them, 37th overall rank, but they let him get 14 assists on him last time. So we went for 9 points, 9 rebounds for a guard. absolutely solid. And then 14 assists. He's cleared this significantly in both head-to-heads. Yeah, these were both from last year, but I don't think that their assist game clearly wasn't much better back then when you pop off for 14. Let's see. So he played a decent amount of minutes in these games, 40 minutes and 35. 12.5 attempts, 32%. So he did not shoot good across these two games, and he still crushed these lines. Decent rebounds and assists in both of these games. He made 1 3 in each game. He went 1 of 8 and 1 of 4, and then still got to the line a decent amount in the first game. 4 made free throws, 7 attempts, and then 2 for 2 in the second game. So this is checking all the boxes for me. I'm feeling really good about it. Let's take a look at daily grind. Okay, so they love his PRA as the top over. They have it at 23.5. They have it at a 52.1% odds at the over, minus 135. They don't like his points alone. They love his rebounds and assists. That looks really good too. If you're scared to take the whole thing, yeah, the rebounds and assists at 10. He went for 14 assists alone. And what did we say? It was a decent amount of boards too, right? Let's take a look at the rebounds and assists in these two matchups. Yeah, he went for 9 boards and 14 assists. So yeah, if you want, take the rebounds and assists. I like it too. He went for 12 in the first matchup. I want that points attached. So I locked in the whole PRA, which they actually like better than the rebounds and assists. But this looks great too. If this points, rebounds, and assists gets bumped to like 24.5 before the game time, and this is at like 10.5, yeah, go with your gut. They have his points, rebounds at a 50-50 shot, literally 50% on the dot, minus 124. But yeah, plenty of options here. I told you guys I'm stoked on all of these plays today. So let's keep it rolling. Isaac McKneely. Yeah, this dude is solid. 2024 season, 62% hit rate on his PRA, 16 out of 26. Really fast player. Pretty athletic and just good at getting open from beyond the arc, moving around a lot. Good, pretty solid with catch and shoot. And last time when they played Duke, we had taken I believe Tyrese Proctor in that game, and he was like the only player who didn't do anything. This turned into a blowout, 80-62, but University of Virginia, they actually kept it pretty close in the first quarter. Second quarter, Duke just figured it out, and that's when Cooper Flagg went absolutely nuts. He had 2 blocks, 2 steals in that game, but I was pretty impressed. I was watching this game with my father-in-law, and we're like, actually, they look pretty solid. So, 62% hit rate. He's a big part of what they're doing. If we look at these last 5, 4 out of his last 5, he's got this done. Most recently that game against Duke, that's tough. They're 5th overall, in defense, and he still was able to go for 14 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. He's got a really soft matchup. We're going to get into that in just a minute, but let's take a look at this note here. So he's exceeded 18.5 points, rebounds, and assists in 7 out of his last 8 games. So yeah, just 7 out of his last 8 games total. So he's averaging 22.6 right now. That's a decent percentage. That's like, knocking on the door of what is that, like 20% value we're getting there when we're getting it at 18.5, and he's averaging 22.6. But this matchup, 312th in points allowed, 259th in rebounds allowed, 186th in assists allowed. So the assists is the toughest matchup, and that's just middle of the road. Everything else is super green. Let's see how the head-to-head fared for him. So the head-to-head, he didn't get this done last time, but this is also UNC last year. It's not the same team this year. They're not playing nearly as good of ball this year. I was actually talking to my father-in-law about it, how they are still adjusting to a new system, new coach coming in, and I'm not concerned about this at all, because we can see their overall rankings have just plummeted for points and rebounds. So I'm not going to let that scare me away. I will say he did have 35 minutes. So he shot 22% from the field in that game. 2 out of 9 buckets were made, and then 1 of 5 from beyond the arc. He's playing much better, especially in rhythm right now. We look at these last 10. 7 out of his last 10, and over this 10-game stretch, shooting 46% from the field, 40% from beyond the arc on 8.7 attempts. I told you guys he's good at getting open in the catch and shoot 3 and even the contested 3s. He's playing with confidence right now, and averaging 3.5 made 3s over this 10-game stretch. That's on 33.4 minutes. and not really getting to the line that often, just 2.1 attempts a game, but cashing just about everything, 90% hit rate from the free throw line. So yeah, I'm feeling good about this, especially I just love this soft matchup for points and rebounds. So yeah, let's take a look at daily grind real quick. I am so excited to get into this slate today. We got NBA too. I'm going to get into that right after this. So they like his points assists the best at 51.05% odds to hit the over, -128. We've got Underdog has it at a -122 to go over. Yeah, so a couple platforms are running this line, and they like this as the best play. So go with your gut. He does not rebound like that often, but he's very capable, and this is just such a soft matchup that I took the 3-point bump to go ahead and let's see that head-to-head. Yeah, I mean, he got 1 rebound last time, but we talked about how that was like a totally different team. But yeah, to me, the 3-point bump, maybe you prefer just the points assists because does seem like over the last 5, 3 rebounds is kind of his ceiling. And that's usually something that I talk about, like why I won't take a play. But in this case, it's just the matchup that sold me on it. Yeah, so go with your gut. 3 is kind of his ceiling. Even over the last 10 games, he hasn't gone over 3 rebounds. Let's go to the last 20. Let's look at the away games because this kind of stuff matters. Let's look at his last 5 away games. Yeah, so I can't make a good argument for the rebounds being attached. So you guys got to go with your gut. I have the rebounds locked in. The only argument I can make, I mean, like, yeah, so he has this game back here where he went for 7 rebounds. We know that he's capable, but he does not get over 3 very often. So I don't blame you if you want to just take that points assists instead. But for me, the selling point was them being bottom of the barrel when it comes to rebounds allowed. So I think he'll have his opportunities to get this done. So yeah, what did we say? Points assists is the top play. They don't like the PRA at 18.5. This looks pretty interesting to me too. So the rebounds and assists, 4.5, that's just such a low line. I know that I was just saying he doesn't usually get more than 3, but in this case, 2 assists and 3 rebounds would cash this for you. So that looked kind of sneaky to me, but I want his shooting. That's my main thing. I want his shooting attached. If we look at the rebounds and assists, if you guys were interested in that, 3 out of his last 5 games, he's gotten it done. And the assists, he's capable of he popped off here against Virginia Tech for 7 assists, 4 assists in the following game. Yeah, I'm not upset about any of these. I like the 4.5 rebounds assists. I'm taking the full PRA, but that points assist does look good at 15.5. But yeah, that soft matchup, give me those rebounds too. So, all right, let's talk about the play of the day. Cooper Flagg. Like, my father-in-law put this guy on my radar because he's a huge Duke fan. And I know that sounds funny because you're probably thinking like, dude, you don't know who Cooper Flagg is. It's not that I don't know who he is. I literally was all NBA and just started getting into college ball. And my father-in-law is huge into college ball, and he's just diehard Duke fan. And he was hyping up Cooper Flagg, and I was like, okay, yeah, I bet he's really good. And then I watched him play, and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, this guy's really good, and he's young. But we're taking the fantasy score because let's just start by like, okay, so his PRA, he's cleared at 6 out of his last 10. Look at when I get into defensive upside, because defensive upside is why we take fantasy score. You get 3 points for every block and 3 points for every steal. Look at his steals over the last 10 games. So he has 2, 4, 7, 10. He has 10 steals alone in his last 4 games. He had a game here against Syracuse where he had 0, and then he had 3 in that. So 6 out of his last 10 games, he's gone for over 1.5 steals. And then you throw the blocks in there. Look at the blocks. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, these 2 games where he didn't do much, but he had 2 blocks and 2 steals in that last game against University of Virginia. And that's 12 fantasy points right there. So this stuff adds up. You really want that upside. You don't want a ton of turnovers either, and he keeps it relatively clean. He has a couple games back here where he had a decent amount of turnovers, but sometimes that's you assisting the ball and your guy not getting to his spot too. But you want to make sure that you're not, because every turnover is -1 point. So if you are getting, like a block and a steal, but you got like 6 turnovers, that's just a wash, So you want to pay attention to the turnovers, but I don't think we have to worry about that with Cooper Flagg. Although, let's see. Speaking of turnovers, this is a tough matchup. They're 14th in turnovers forced, so this should be a fun game. I'm still taking this fantasy score all day. Let's take a look at that since we haven't yet. So yeah, 3 straight games of going for 40 or more. We actually took him in this game against Stanford, and he cashed it for us. That was a great game. And then we faded him and went for Proctor in this last game, and he popped off for 48.8. He had 14 rebounds in this game. That's the thing too, is the rebounds are worth 1.2, which 1.2 fantasy points for every rebound, which does add up when you've got 14 of them. And then on top of that, assists are worth 1.5 for fantasy score. So fantasy score is something I really like, especially when there's a guy who has the defensive upside. Playing in a primetime game like this, I think that it's going to be like they're going to go hard tonight, I think, in Madison Square Garden. So I wanted his fantasy score. Let's look at the matchup for points, rebounds, and assists real quick. So yeah, this is tough. They're pretty solid. 201st, so middle of the road with points allowed. And then 122nd, so a little bit above average for rebounds allowed, 49th in assists allowed. So they're in the upper echelon of keeping opposing teams from getting assists on them. We don't have a head-to-head to go off of here, but let's just look at his fantasy score on the 2024 season. Look at that, 69% hit rate, 18 out of 26 games, rarely goes too long without hitting. He's never gone more than 2 games with missing his line. So I think that he's in rhythm right now, 3 straight games of 40 or more fantasy score. And now he's got all the reasons in the world to go off today while, you've got all these eyes on you in a historical place. And I was looking at this too. I thought this was kind of interesting. So their coach, I believe it's John Shire. Let me make sure I'm saying it right so I don't look ridiculous here. His coach played for Duke as well. So John Shire holds a combined 21-5 record at the Garden as a Duke player, assistant coach, and head coach. He's 2-0 in 2 trips to the Garden as a head coach, making appearances in the Jimmy V Classic. So his coach is excited for this game too. He said his coach is quoted here, "Any chance to get back to Madison Square Garden for us. We try to do that once a year if we can." They were supposed to do it in December, and then their scheduling wasn't really making it easy on them, so they decided to take a game in late February outside of their normal conference. And he's really excited about it. Yeah, the idea came up for doing it in February. The more I talked about it, the more I liked the concept of getting a neutral game late in the year against a different opponent to get outside of the bubble that we're in ACC play. So there's just so much hype around this game, and I think that they're going to just absolutely show out, and it's going to be a blast watching this game while I have Cooper Flagg locked in for fantasy score. I expect him to go ham tonight. Let's take a look at Daily Grind. Look at all these overs for Cooper. So his points, rebounds, they like the best. 52.11% odds hit the over -132. They like his points, assists over. They like his points over. They like his rebounds and assists over. They like his turnovers over. When you are holding the ball the majority of the time and you're setting up plays and whatnot, like there's more opportunities for teams to steal the ball. And we know that they're 14th in steals, in steals. So. And forced turnovers, I should say. They don't have the fantasy score. For some reason, the optimizer does not yet cover fantasy score. But do they have the PRA on here? Yeah, they like all of his overs. I don't see blocks or steals. So go with your gut. These are plenty of pivots if you don't want to take the fantasy score. You don't want that defensive upside. The points, rebounds, points, assists, points, rebounds, assists, all of those they like over, and the turnovers if you wanted to take that. But yeah, the top play that they have is his points, rebounds, 52.11% odds to hit the over. So go with your gut. I want that fantasy score. I want to be stoked every time I see him get a block or a steal in this game. And I think he can get it done just off of pure scoring. He went for 48.8 last time. We just need him to go for 39 today. So if you take away that defensive upside, I guess like we probably would be just under that since it was 12 points. But I don't think he's putting up a goose egg with blocks and steals in this matchup with all this hype. So guys, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you noticed, I drop in my community section, I drop demon plays. If I decide to get into a YOLO slip where I'm just wanting to make all demons, put just a little bit on it and see if I can't hit like yesterday, I put out like a 400x slip that did not cash, but it was fun. It was for the protected play because, you just get that back. So I was just really swinging for the fences, but I also put out an underdog streaks play that I started, and we cashed both of those yesterday for NBA. So if you're following me on that, if you jumped on that, I'm going to keep adding each play for the streaks in the community section. So make sure your notifications are on, make sure you're subscribed, and I will be posting extra stuff like that where I don't put out a video, but I just give you a little breakdown of what I'm taking, why I like it. And we're going to get into that later today. So appreciate you tuning in. Excuse me. I'm going to be jumping straight into NBA picks next. So I will see you guys in just a little bit. Have a good one.